My name is Magnus Young, and I'm the Chef de Cuisine and Culinary Manager at the Clif Family Winery and Bruschetteria Food Truck in St. Helena, California. The food truck can be found parked outside the Clif Family tasting room, and we serve a seasonally inspired menu with organic produce from our farm on Owl Mountain. This stack cake gets its beautiful color and sweet flavor from watermelon molasses and watermelon butter, and is a new take on a classic Appalachian dessert. Let's start with the watermelon molasses. First, break down a large seedless watermelon into chunks and remove any seeds. Working in batches, puree the watermelon in a food processor. Strain through a fine mesh sieve over a receptacle and press gently on the solids for maximum extraction. I'm going to save some of my puree to use later in my watermelon butter. Transfer the watermelon juice to a shallow pot and bring to a simmer over medium heat. Skim the surface and reduce flame to a low simmer. Reduce the molasses by about 2/3, which takes about 4 hours depending on the pot used. Transfer this molasses into a smaller pot as this will prevent scorching around the sides. Simmer for about 1 more hour. The molasses is done when it has a thick, syrupy consistency and a dark burgundy color. The watermelon molasses can be used on many items, from proteins to desserts. Transfer to a sterilized mason jar or airtight container, then cool and refrigerate. Onto the watermelon butter. This is a fun twist on apple butter. We're making a jam-like watermelon butter that we'll add between our cake layers. Transfer watermelon puree to a stainless steel pot. You'll recall we set some aside when we made our molasses. Add a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Bring to a simmer and reduce by half. Add a cup of sugar and bring the temperature to 212 Fahrenheit. Stir in some apple pectin and continue to simmer for 5 minutes. As you can see, it has a beautiful color. Cool and transfer to a container. For the cake, we'll start with the dry ingredients. In a large bowl, mix together all-purpose flour, sugar, ground cinnamon, ground ginger, ground cloves, and baking powder. Watermelon is available year-round and pairs nicely with the fall spices in this stack cake. Add the wet ingredients including melted butter, watermelon molasses, 3 large eggs, buttermilk, and vanilla extract. Fold together the wet and dry ingredients until a thick, homogeneous batter is formed. Pour approximately 2 1/4 cups of batter into 3 9-inch parchment-lined cake pans. Gently tap the cake pans on a countertop to evenly distribute the batter. Bake cakes for 20 to 25 minutes in a 350-degree oven. When done, they should be pale and golden in color. Use a cake tester to verify. Transfer the pans to a wire rack to cool for 20 minutes. Once cooled, run a spatula around the edge of the cakes to free them from the pan, and carefully invert them onto the racks. Remove the parchment paper from each cake. Cool for 3 to 4 hours. Now we're ready to assemble. Carefully slice each of the 3 cakes in half horizontally to create 6 total layers. Using an offset spatula or pastry brush, liberally paint each layer with a 3/4 cup of watermelon butter and stack the layers on top of each other. Some historians believe that stack cake was a 19th century Appalachian wedding tradition, where each guest brought a single layer cake to the ceremony, which would then be assembled and spread with apple butter. So now that my cake is assembled, dust the top with powdered sugar. Serve the cake with a dollop of whipped cream. Although naked cakes seem like a recent trend, this beautiful rustic stack cake is an old classic with staying power, and a beautiful and fun way to showcase watermelon.